The year was 1964, and the wild frontier called out to us through the legendary adventures of Daniel Boone. We grew up watching Fess Parker conquer the wilderness, but where has time taken our favorite pioneers? Tonight, we peel back the curtain of decades to reveal the heartbreaking transformations and triumphs of the cast. Prepare yourself, because some of these stories will leave you in tears. You won't believe how they look today. Fess Parker as Daniel Boone. Born on August 16, 1924 in Fort Worth, Texas, the towering actor had already achieved fame as Davy Crockett before stepping into the boots of another American legend. At the age of 40, Parker starred in the NBC series Daniel Boone, portraying the explorer with a warmth and integrity that resonated deeply with audiences. For 6 seasons, his portrayal of the coonskin cap-wearing pioneer solidified his image as the quintessential television frontiersman, creating a legacy of wholesome adventure that captivated families across the nation. While he embodied the rugged outdoor spirit on screen, Fess Parker was known in real life as a gentle, articulate, and highly intelligent businessman, distinct from the rough-hewn characters he played. His career was heavily defined by the struggle of severe typecasting. The immense shadow of his frontiersman personas made it nearly impossible for him to secure diverse roles. Frustrated by the industry's refusal to see him as anything other than a man in a coonskin cap, and having famously lost out on a gritty role in The Searchers years prior due to studio interference, he found the lack of creative opportunities disheartening. This professional confinement ultimately led to his decision to retire from acting shortly after the series concluded. Following his departure from Hollywood, Parker reinvented himself as a highly successful real estate developer and vintner in California's Santa Ynez Valley. He built a lucrative business empire, including the Fess Parker Winery, and a luxury hotel showcasing the business acumen he possessed throughout his life. He remained a beloved figure, often greeting fans at his winery while wearing a smile rather than a cap. Fess Parker passed away at his home in Santa Ynez, California, on March 18, 2010, at the age of 85 from natural causes. His death marked the end of an era for the classic TV Western, though his name remains synonymous with high-quality wine and hospitality in the region. Patricia Blair as Rebecca Boone. Born on January 15, 1933 in Fort Worth, Texas, the former teenage model began her career under the names Patsy Blake and Patricia Blake before landing her defining role. At the age of 31, Blair began portraying Rebecca Boone, the steadfast and courageous wife of the legendary frontiersman on NBC. For 6 seasons, her performance provided the emotional anchor to the series, offering a portrayal of a pioneer woman that was both dignified and resilient, earning her a permanent place in the landscape of classic television westerns and making her a familiar, comforting face in American households. While Rebecca Boone was often depicted as the patient and dutiful frontier wife, Patricia Blair possessed a fiery, independent spirit and a modern sensibility that contrasted sharply with her demure on-screen persona. Her journey to the role was not without professional friction. She had previously starred as the hotel owner Lou Mallory on The Rifleman, only to be unceremoniously written out of the series, a professional setback that stung but ultimately freed her to join the cast of Daniel Boone. Despite her success, she faced the common industry struggle of being typecast in period roles, which limited her opportunities to showcase her range in contemporary settings. Once the series concluded in 1970, leading to a decline in major acting offers. Patricia Blair stepped away from the limelight in her later years, eventually moving to North Wildwood, New Jersey, where she lived a quiet life far removed from Hollywood. She continued to make occasional appearances at Western film festivals and conventions, maintaining a connection with her fan base, but largely retired from acting in the early 1980s to focus on a more private existence. Patricia Blair passed away at her home on September 9, 2013, at the age of 80, following a battle with breast cancer. She is remembered fondly by fans of the genre for bringing grace and strength to the American frontier. Darby Hinton as Israel Boone. Born on August 19, 1957 in Santa Monica, California, the young actor stepped into the boots of a pioneer boy to star alongside Fess Parker. At the age of 7, Hinton's portrayal of Israel Boone became a beloved fixture of 1960s television, capturing the innocence and grit of frontier life. For 6 seasons, he delivered a performance that resonated with families across America, effectively growing up on screen and establishing a dynamic father-son chemistry that served as the emotional anchor of the popular series. While Israel Boone was surrounded by a sturdy family unit on the frontier, Darby Hinton faced a starker reality early in life. His biological father, actor Ed Hinton, died in a plane crash when Darby was just a toddler, leading him to view Fess Parker as a genuine surrogate father figure during production. Following the show's abrupt cancellation in 1970, a decision that shocked the cast and crew, Hinton faced the difficult transition from child star to adult actor. He struggled to shed the wholesome pioneer image that defined his childhood, eventually taking drastic steps to break the typecasting, including appearing in teen comedies and posing for Playgirl magazine to assert his adult identity. Darby Hinton has remained an active and resilient figure in the entertainment industry, embracing his legacy while forging new paths as a producer and writer. He has dedicated much of his later career to preserving the history of Daniel Boone, frequently appearing at fan conventions and Western festivals, where he reconnects with the generations that grew up watching him. As of 2026, at the age of 68, he is alive and continues to work on passion projects, including documentaries and faith-based films, maintaining the warmth and approachability that first endeared him to audiences over 6 decades ago. Veronica Cartwright as Jemima Boone. Born on April 20, 1949 in Bristol, England, and raised in Los Angeles, the former child star had already appeared in Hitchcock's The Birds before landing her role in the frontier drama. At the age of 15, Cartwright's portrayal of the spirited and adventurous daughter of the legendary explorer became a beloved component of the show's early success. She brought a youthful energy and emotional depth to the series, helping to ground the high-adventure plots with family-oriented stakes that resonated with American audiences during the mid-60s. Despite playing an iconic American pioneer girl, Cartwright was actually British-born, requiring her to suppress her natural accent and demeanor to fit the rustic setting. Her time on the show was cut short by the harsh realities of the television industry. She faced a significant professional struggle when she was written out of the series after only 2 seasons. The producers felt that as Cartwright matured into a young woman, her character's potential for romantic storylines would make the lead actor Fess Parker appear too old, clashing with the ageless hero image the network wanted to maintain. This abrupt dismissal forced her to navigate the difficult transition from child star to adult actress, a period marked by the challenge of shaking her wholesome image to find serious work in a changing Hollywood. Veronica Cartwright successfully reinvented herself as a queen of sci-fi and horror, earning acclaim for her roles in Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Alien. She has maintained a steady presence in film and television well into her later years, appearing in series like The X-Files, Supernatural, and Gotham Knights. As of 2026, at the age of 76, she remains an active and respected figure in the industry, frequently attending conventions to meet fans of her genre-defining work, while continuing to take on character roles that showcase her enduring versatility. Kurt Russell as Paul Bickford. Born on March 17, 1951, the Springfield, Massachusetts native was already building a resume as a talented child actor when he was cast in the adventure series Daniel Boone. At the age of 13, Russell's portrayal of the young frontier boy Paul Bickford showcased a natural screen presence that allowed him to hold his own against the imposing figure of Fess Parker. While this guest appearance was just one of many during his juvenile career, it contributed to his growing reputation as a reliable and charismatic performer, serving as a precursor to the legendary 10-year contract he would soon sign with Walt Disney, a move that made him the face of family entertainment for a generation. Despite the ease with which he commanded the screen, Kurt Russell's relationship with acting was complicated by his intense desire to be a professional athlete, creating a distinct contrast between his Hollywood success and his personal dreams. Unlike the career-obsessed characters he often played, Russell viewed acting primarily as a job rather than a calling during his early adulthood, leading him to leave the industry to play minor league baseball. His professional struggle came to a heartbreaking head in 1973 when a torn rotator cuff permanently ended his baseball career, forcing a reluctant return to acting. He then faced the immense challenge of shedding his wholesome Disney kid typecasting, fighting for gritty roles to prove he could transition into a serious adult leading man. Kurt Russell successfully defied the odds that usually trap former child stars, evolving into a rugged action hero and a celebrated character actor with a filmography spanning cult classics and blockbusters. He has maintained a decades-long relationship with actress Goldie Hawn, a partnership revered as one of Hollywood's most enduring love stories. As of 2026, at the age of 74, he is an active and revered elder statesman of cinema, continuing to captivate audiences with recent roles in high-profile projects like Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, while managing his successful wine label in the Santa Ynez Valley. Dal McKennon as Cincinnatus. Born on July 19, 1919, in La Grande, Oregon, the actor first stepped into the boots of the frontier storekeeper on Daniel Boone in 1964. At the age of 45, McKennon's portrayal of Cincinnatus provided the series with its rustic heart and soul, serving as the reliable, often comedic anchor of Boonesboro. For 6 seasons, his scruffy beard and folksy wisdom made him a beloved fixture of the show, representing the ordinary pioneer spirit that grounded the series' more adventurous exploits and cementing his image as the quintessential old-timer in the minds of television audiences. Despite Cincinnatus's identity as a simple, aging backwoodsman, Dal McKennon was a vocal virtuoso with a boundless youthful energy that sharply contrasted with his on-screen persona. While the public saw him as the elderly storekeeper, he was secretly the man of 1,000 voices, providing the vocals for icons like Gumby and Archie Andrews. This duality created a unique professional struggle. In live-action roles, he was relentlessly typecast as codgers and eccentric prospectors, a box that limited his on-camera opportunities and often forced him to play characters decades older than his actual age. The disconnect between his anonymous vocal fame and his pigeonholed physical appearance was a quiet hardship, compounded by his desire to escape Hollywood's grind. He eventually moved his family back to Oregon during the show's run, enduring a grueling commute to Los Angeles just to maintain his career. Dal McKennon remained a prolific force in the entertainment industry well into his later years, immortalizing his voice in Disney theme park attractions like the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad and the Country Bear Jamboree. He continued to work in voice acting until his retirement, leaving a legacy that spanned generations. McKennon passed away at a care center in Raymond, Washington on July 14, 2009, at the age of 89, just 5 days shy of his 90th birthday, due to natural causes. His ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean, a fitting farewell for a native son of the Pacific Northwest who had given voice to so many American icons. Albert Salmi as Yadkin. Born on March 11, 1928 in Brooklyn, New York, the Finnish-American actor was a serious devotee of the method acting style before donning a coonskin cap. At the age of 36, Salmi took on the role of Yadkin Daniel Boone's rough-hewn, loyal, and scruffy sidekick during the show's first season. His portrayal provided a gritty, earthy counterpoint to Fess Parker's stoic hero, and he played a crucial part in establishing the series' early success, becoming a fan favorite for his authentic frontier look and comedic yet capable presence. Despite the character's popularity, there was a stark contrast between the folksy backwoodsman and the intense, sophisticated stage actor who played him. Salmi, an alumnus of the prestigious Actors Studio, found the role of a sidekick creatively stifling and felt the scripts were becoming too cartoonish, fearing he would be permanently typecast as a buffoon. This professional dissatisfaction led to a sudden departure. He quit the hit series after only one season to pursue more serious work. While he successfully avoided being stuck as Yadkin, he faced the irony of being subsequently typecast as villains and heavies in countless television westerns for the remainder of his career. Albert Salmi continued to work steadily in Hollywood for decades, appearing in films such as The Brothers Karamazov, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, and Caddyshack, though his personal life was marred by a decline in mental health and a tumultuous marriage. His life ended in a shocking and tragic event that stunned the entertainment industry. On April 22, 1990, at the age of 62, Salmi died in his home in Spokane, Washington, from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after fatally shooting his estranged wife, Roberta. The murder-suicide revealed the depth of the severe depression he had battled in private, leaving a somber shadow over his professional legacy. Roosevelt Grier as Gabe Cooper. Born on July 14, 1932 in Cuthbert, Georgia, the imposing figure known as Rosie had already achieved fame as a legendary NFL defensive tackle before transitioning to Hollywood. At the age of 37, Grier joined the cast of Daniel Boone in its final season as Gabe Cooper, an escaped slave who had found freedom and brotherhood among the Tuscarora Indians. His portrayal was culturally groundbreaking for 1969. Amidst the height of the civil rights movement, Grier delivered a dignified, strong, and equal counterpart to the titular hero, offering a rare and positive representation of Black integration in the Western genre. The contrast between Grier's public image and his true self was stark. While he was famous for being a member of the Los Angeles Rams' fearsome foursome, a brutal force on the football field, he was in reality a gentle giant who publicly championed the art of needlepoint to break machismo stereotypes. His acting career, however, was haunted by a profound personal struggle, the trauma of the 1968 Robert F. Kennedy assassination. Grier, who was serving as a bodyguard for Ethel Kennedy that night, famously subdued the gunman Sirhan Sirhan. This harrowing event left him deeply disillusioned with violence, leading him to often refuse roles that required him to carry a gun, a moral stance that limited his casting opportunities in the action-heavy landscape of 1970s television. Roosevelt Grier eventually shifted his focus from entertainment to spiritual leadership, becoming an ordained minister in the early 1980s and dedicating his life to serving inner-city youth. As of 2026, at the age of 93, he is the last surviving member of the original fearsome foursome and the oldest living former NFL player. He remains a revered cultural icon living in Los Angeles with his wife Sydney, where he continues to preach and advocate for community development, having long traded the violence of the gridiron for a legacy of peace and philanthropy. Ames as Mingo. Born on July 9, 1927 in Malden, Massachusetts, the youngest member of the famous Ames brothers singing quartet made a surprising transition to dramatic acting. At the age of 37, Ames took on the role of Mingo, the Oxford-educated Cherokee friend of the titular character in Daniel Boone. His portrayal was unique for the 1960s, offering a dignified intellectual and articulate representation of a Native American that contrasted sharply with the grunt-speaking stereotypes often seen in westerns of the era. Mingo became a fan favorite, providing a sophisticated balance to the rough-and-tumble frontier atmosphere and establishing Ames as a legitimate dramatic talent beyond his musical roots. Despite Mingo's stoic and outdoor-savvy persona, Ed Ames was a son of Russian-Jewish immigrants with a background in Boston pop vocal harmony, creating a distinct cultural contrast between the actor and the role. While he brought gravity to the part, he faced the professional complexity of being a white actor in Redface, a casting norm of the time that later became a subject of critical reevaluation. Ames also struggled with the creative limitations of being a sidekick. Feeling that the character's development had stagnated, and fearing typecasting would stifle his primary identity as a vocalist, he made the difficult decision to leave the hit series after 4 seasons. This departure was a gamble, as walking away from a stable primetime gig presented the terrifying possibility of fading into obscurity. Ed Ames successfully returned to his musical career, scoring a massive pop hit with My Cup Runneth Over, and becoming a fixture on the talk show circuit, largely immortalized by his legendary tomahawk-throwing accident on The Tonight Show. He remained active in theater and television for decades, touring extensively in the Fantastics, and taking guest roles well into his later years. Ed Ames passed away at his home in Los Angeles on May 21, 2023, at the age of 95 from complications related to Alzheimer's disease. As the last surviving member of the Ames brothers, his death marked the end of a significant era in American entertainment, and he was eulogized for his rich baritone voice and his memorable, if complex, contribution to television history. Vincent Price as Dr. Thaddeus Morton. Born on May 27, 1911, the St. Louis, Missouri native was already a cinematic legend when he ventured into the American frontier for the Daniel Boone series. At the age of 57, Price took on the role of Dr. Thaddeus Morton, an eccentric traveling teacher and printer in the 1969 episode The Copperhead. His portrayal brought a sophisticated wit and theatrical gravitas to the wilderness setting, offering a memorable performance that stood out against the show's rugged backdrop. This guest role highlighted his impressive range as a character actor, proving he could command the screen in a Western just as effectively as he did in a Gothic mansion. Despite his terrifying on-screen reputation as the master of menace, Vincent Price was a gentle, highly cultured man who was the polar opposite of the villains he famously played. While audiences associated him with torture chambers and madness, he was actually a gourmet chef, a fine art expert, and a devoted family man known for his kindness and self-deprecating humor. Professionally, he fought a lifelong battle against severe typecasting. The success of his horror films often prevented casting directors from seeing him in other lights, making roles like Dr. Morton a rare and cherished departure. In his later career, he often faced the hardship of having to accept campy scripts or self-parody roles simply to keep working as the horror genre shifted toward slasher films. Vincent Price enjoyed a cultural renaissance in his final years, introducing himself to a new generation through his iconic voiceover on Michael Jackson's Thriller and his poignant role as the inventor in Edward Scissorhands. He passed away at his home in Los Angeles on October 25, 1993, at the age of 82, due to lung cancer and emphysema. His death was a profound loss to the entertainment industry, but his legacy was preserved through his vast contributions to film and art. His ashes were scattered off Point Dume in Malibu, and his voice remains the definitive sound of the Halloween season. Jimmy Dean as Josh Clements. Born on August 10, 1928 in Plainview, Texas, the country music star and television host brought his rugged charisma to the screen in Daniel Boone during the show's later seasons. At the age of 38, Dean took on the role of Josh Clements, a friendly fur trapper and sidekick to Fess Parker's titular character. His portrayal capitalized on his established fame as the singer of Big Bad John, allowing him to infuse the character with a distinct Southern charm and musical ability that resonated with audiences. His addition to the cast helped revitalize the series, filling the void left by previous co-stars and solidifying his status as a versatile entertainer who could comfortably transition between the music charts and dramatic acting. The contrast between the actor and the character was stark. While Josh Clements was a simple frontiersman, content with a primitive life in the wilderness, Jimmy Dean was an astute, high-powered businessman and a polished variety show host. This transition presented professional hurdles as Dean had to pivot from the spontaneity of hosting The Jimmy Dean Show, which had been canceled in 1966, leaving him looking for work, to the tedious, repetitive nature of filming a one-hour drama. He often found the slow pace of Hollywood production frustrating compared to the adrenaline of live performance and music, and he struggled with the industry's tendency to view him solely as a country bumpkin. Despite his sharp intellect and entrepreneurial acumen, Jimmy Dean eventually stepped away from acting to focus entirely on his booming business venture, the Jimmy Dean Sausage Company, which he later sold to Sara Lee Foods in a lucrative deal, though he remained the brand's spokesman for decades. He spent his later years living on his estate in Verena, Virginia, with his wife Donna, enjoying a life that blended his love for music and boating. Jimmy Dean passed away at his home on June 13, 2010, at the age of 81 from natural causes while watching television. His death marked the end of a unique American success story, and he was interred in a remarkable piano-shaped mausoleum on his estate overlooking the James River, a final tribute to the music that started his career. Robert Logan as Jericho Jones. Born on May 29, 1941, in Brooklyn, New York, the athletic actor had already gained significant attention as J.R. Hale on 77 Sunset Strip before heading into the frontier. At the age of 24, Logan joined the cast of Daniel Boone during its second season to portray Jericho Jones, a young and spirited backwoodsman. His character was introduced to provide a youthful sidekick to Fess Parker's Daniel Boone, bringing a necessary physicality and dashing charm that appealed heavily to the show's younger demographic. During his tenure, his performance helped bridge the gap between the older establishment figures of the fort and the action-packed adventures of the wilderness, cementing his status as a 1960s television heartthrob. While Jericho Jones was a loyal follower of Daniel Boone, Robert Logan himself was fiercely independent and grew increasingly disillusioned with the Hollywood studio system. The contrast between his public image as a compliant TV star and his real-life desire for creative freedom was sharp. He reportedly felt stifled by the restrictive nature of network contracts and the repetitive nature of television production. This friction eventually led him to leave the series to pursue film opportunities, a move that many considered a major risk at the time. He struggled against the industry's tendency to typecast him solely based on his looks, eventually choosing to forge an unconventional path that required immense self-reliance. Logan famously pivoted to writing and starring in the Adventures of the Wilderness Family film series in the 1970s, becoming a pioneer of independent film distribution and family-oriented adventure movies. He eventually retired from the entertainment industry to live a life that mirrored the rugged individualism of his most famous characters, staying largely out of the public eye for several decades. Robert Logan passed away on May 6, 2024, at the age of 82 in Estero, Florida. Having long ago traded the glitz of show business for personal autonomy, he remains a beloved figure for a generation that grew up on his nature-centric adventure films and his early days in the American wilderness on screen. William Tannon as Calvin Moss. Born on November 17, 1911 in New York City, the prolific character actor stepped into the boots of the Boonesboro resident for the hit adventure series. At the age of 52, Tannon's portrayal of Calvin Moss, the settlement's innkeeper and bartender, became a recurring staple of the show's community dynamic. While the leads battled the wilderness, Calvin Moss represented the civilization and social hub of the fort, providing a reliable and familiar presence that helped ground the series' historical setting for the audience throughout its run. Despite his role as a rough-and-tumble frontiersman in the Kentucky wilderness, Tannon was a product of the studio system and a city native far removed from the pioneer lifestyle he depicted. His career was characterized by the relentless grind of a stock player, a professional struggle that saw him amass hundreds of credits, often without receiving on-screen acknowledgement. He faced the persistent difficulty of being a ubiquitous face in Hollywood, recognizable to millions, while struggling to achieve the name recognition afforded to his co-stars, a common plight for character actors of his generation who were typecast as background support. William Tannon continued to work steadily in the industry after his time on the frontier, maintaining his status as one of the hardest-working actors in Hollywood until his final days. He passed away in Woodland Hills, California, on December 2, 1976. At the age of 65, he died at the Motion Picture and Television Country House and Hospital, leaving behind a staggering filmography of over 500 appearances, a testament to a lifetime spent dedicated to the craft of acting. Seeing the cast of Daniel Boone today brings back a flood of memories from a simpler time. It's a poignant reminder of how quickly the years fly by, yet the impact of these iconic characters stays with us forever. We hope this tribute honored the stars who shaped your childhood. If this walk down memory lane touched your heart, please give this video a like and hit that notification bell to never miss a tribute.